Welcome to Unshakeable with Human Design, the show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs use human design to shift from hustle to flow without sacrificing results. Come here to become an unshakable human and build an unshakable business according to your human design. I'm your host, Nicole Laino. Hello and welcome to Unshakeable with Human Design, everybody. I'm your host, Nicole Laino, and we are here continuing our center series together. There are 9 centers in the human design body graph. We are going through each and every one of them in a dedicated episode in this series. For the last 6 weeks on Wednesdays, we have dropped a different center where we have deep dived into that specific center. What does it mean? How does it work? What does it mean to have it defined, undefined, all of that fun stuff? We have done that for each of the centers. This is our 7th. We still have 2 more after this episode. We've already covered the root center, the sacral center, the solar plexus, the spleen, G center, and the ego. So if any of those interest you, I encourage you, just go back every single week. You will be able to see one of those centers being featured. Today, we're talking about head center. They're all really interesting. They're all really cool. They're all really valuable to know about. And really what I hope you're taking away from this series is you're understanding maybe what your relationship to that center is, to that specific aspect. Like for me, why is the head center one of the most fascinating? Well, my conscious sun and my conscious earth are both head center gates. 64 and 63. There are 3 gates in the head center. 2 of them are defined in my chart, and they are defined in my 2 most prominent positions. So no wonder I find the head center so fascinating and so illuminating, since that is my ultimate gift in life, is to be illuminating in some way. So the head center is the center of inspiration. And what's interesting about it, because there's only 3 gates, that means there's only 3 channels in it. That means there's only 3 possibilities. You'd need 3 possibilities for that center to be defined. All the other centers have more options. If the center has 9 gates in it, 9 channels, then there's 9 possibilities for that center to be defined by those channels being defined. There's only 3 in the head center, so the probability goes down. That's why 70% of the world has the head center undefined, myself included in this. So if you have the head center that's white on your chart, this will be a theme for you that comes and goes. You're going to have a different relationship to it than if you are somebody listening to this who has it colored in when you look at your chart. If it's colored in, it's going to be a consistent process for you. It's going to be a consistent theme for you. So let's talk a little bit more, because I think the head center is interesting similarly to the way that the root center is interesting. And we started with the root center. So the root center and the head center make up the sandwich of the body graph. That's the bread, and everything else is the meat in there. The root center is at the bottom. Pressure comes in from the bottom. And then the head center, pressure comes in from the top. These are our 2 pressure centers in the body graph. Now, some of what I share in these episodes is textbook stuff, textbook definitions, things that if you read a book, you would hear it this way. And some of it's just my own personal contemplations on this. And trust me, the head center has been constant contemplation for me because it is such an important center in my particular chart. So do you have anything defined in there is one question you want to be asking yourself. But one of the things that I find interesting about the head center, that I find particularly noteworthy about it, is that it is this pressure center. And pressure never goes away. Even if you have it defined, the difference here, it's not a theme that you don't have. We're always experiencing pressure. But if you have it defined, you have a consistent way of dealing with that mental pressure. And if you have it undefined, like me, you have an inconsistent way of dealing with that mental pressure. So for me, my life's work has very much revolved around learning to develop my own process and letting that process change and be different and be open to all the different ways I can process mental pressure and to not be thrown by it. I think the head center is one of the ones that illustrates conditioning and how conditioning pulls us off course. I think it's the easiest one for so many people to see. One, because so many people have it undefined, so they get it. They're like, yes, that's me. But think about this world. This is the center of inspiration, and it's the center of mental pressure. Now, if you think about that, think about this world. We're all dealing with the pressure. Now, if you have the center open, if you have it undefined, it's white in your chart, how do you deal with mental pressure? Maybe you obsess over things. And then how do you deal with obsessing over things? Usually we try to consume stuff. Why? Because we're trying to answer questions. What questions? Any and all questions. Can be the news that we're taking in. Could be the thing that we saw on social media. How we get obsessed with stuff. And we want to figure it all out. And we want to tell people. And we want to consume more. And we want to try to fix it. How much of that consumes your time? Now, not that this does not happen for people with defined heads. However, in my experience, they are just less interested in the outside noise because they're less susceptible to it. They have their own mental process that's going on, and there's a whole different game with that. There's a different game of learning to manage your own mental process because it is happening all the time, and you have a consistent way of mentally putting pressure on yourself rather than the outside world. So you see how these centers sort of give us a little peek, a really in-depth, detailed, interesting, and useful peek into our inner process, how we work, what makes us tick, what gets us stuck, why we have patterns, why we deal with them the way that we do, why we seem to end up in the same place over and over and over again, even when we seemingly tried to do something else. If you have an open head, most likely something that's keeping you stuck has something to do with what you're consuming, how much you're consuming, and why you're consuming it. What are you listening to? What are you watching on television? What are you reading? Who are you reading? Who are you listening to? And then what are you trying to action as a result of all of that consumption? It's the way we live now. We live in an information age. We live in an age where we are valued for what we know. But we spend far too much time. If you really look at where your time goes, that screen time data point on your phone that tells you how much time you spent looking at your phone, consuming, what were you doing? Even if it was a podcast like this one, where is the need to act coming from? And by need to act, that could be, what question are you trying to solve? The not self of the head says, I'm trying to answer questions that don't really matter to me. I got to answer that question. I got to figure that out. Think about all the things in the world we're told to care about. By whom? And I'm not saying that we shouldn't care about the things that are happening other places. We have to be conscious. I'm not at all advocating for that. What do they call it? Like spiritual bypassing. It's messing with my vibe, so I'm not going to pay attention to the horrors and atrocities in the world. However, how much time are you spending obsessing over things that you cannot change and you cannot control? And who's telling you? If you have an open head, you are highly susceptible to other people's ideas, to other people's thoughts. And you can adopt them as your own until you become conscious of it and you start to become discerning, which is what human design allows you to do. We can become discerning about the action that we take. And we don't do that based on reading in a book that it's not good to consume too much, because that's not necessarily true. We get to look at our process. We get to look at what is consistent for us. We get to look at what our tendencies are, and then we get to observe them. And then when we can become a neutral observer and we act from our strategy and authority, from what is consistent for us, from what is true for us, from what is our power. You hear people talk about power, operating from your power. Operating from your power means operating from your consistency. And human design gives us this beautiful, simple framework to understand what our consistency is, what our power is. And if we can keep coming back to that, like I said, it's simple, but it's not easy. It's not so easy to do things so differently than you've done your entire life. It's not so easy to just change and be different. And I think that that's unfortunately how a lot of us feel we should be. We should just have results immediately. We should just know immediately. And if we don't, we're a failure. And it's just not true. I've been doing this for years, and I'm still learning, and I'm still deconditioning, and I'm still working at it. And I'm still becoming more magnetic, authentic, more open, expanded, and more in love with life every single day. Why? Because I feel grounded in myself, in my purpose. My conditioning no longer pushes me into action. And I'm not going to say it never does. Sure, it does. Of course. I'm just aware of it very quickly, and I can see it. I look at it with curiosity, not criticism. I don't beat myself up for getting it wrong. I'm like, there's a nice example of what not to do. I remember that now. I understand it now. I have muscle memory of what not to do. And I know how to get back to what is true for me, to what is aligned for me. It's all just data. And data helps us make better decisions. And data helps us get closer to what we want. You can't have data if you're beating yourself up because you're taking it personally. And you ruin the whole game that way. That's more conditioning. That gets you acting from the shame and from the guilt and from all of the stuff. But when you get past that and you can just observe what's happening, what you're doing and why, and you go, I see what I did there. Silly Nicole. I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to be more aware next time. You know why? Because I made the mistake. I experimented. I got pulled off my path for just a moment. I'm not far from my real path when I do that. It's when we are unconscious. It's when we are on autopilot, moving away from our path, doing things over and over and over again that are not aligned for us, that are in alignment with our conditioning and not with our authenticity, our power, and our truth. It's when we do that and we're unconscious to it that we end up way far off our path. And then we're looking around being like, whoa, how did I get all the way out here? I don't even know where I am, let alone know how to get back. And that can feel really disheartening. And that can feel really depleting of our energy because we just think it's going to be so hard. And we feel like we've already tried so hard and we failed. No, the more you work at this and the more you do this, the faster you start to see. Like I can tell sometimes when I step slightly outside of the line of alignment and I go, oh, okay. And then I move right back. That's power. That's when you're magnetic because people sense from you that there is this core strength. In the gene keys, we call it core stability. That there is an inner stability to you. And I call it becoming unshakable. It roots you to the ground. And if we are talking about business and we are talking about how to magnetize our ideal client, how to call in a higher level client, if I had a nickel for every time somebody told me I just need to connect with a higher level client or I'm trying to message for a higher level client, a higher level client will never hire an ungrounded coach or person. Or if they do, it will be a mistake that they make and they regret. I've done it. I've hired somebody I had total red flags for, and I did not trust myself. I hired her, and I was like, this was a mistake. Again, didn't beat myself up, but I've learned to trust my intuition with these things. A higher level client that you are looking to attract is looking for somebody to hold them down, not that they need to hold down. Not somebody that's going to bring chaos or anxious energy into their field. They want grounding because they want to expand more. And if they've gotten further, they understand what that is. So it's the work you do on you first. And that's what most people miss. So understanding things like these centers, the head center, understanding that most of the world is open. So most people, you're in good company if what you do to deal with the pressure is try to take in more information so that it makes you feel better because it feels like a warm blanket. I'll just listen to another podcast and then I'll feel better. I'll get an idea over there about how to fix this thing that maybe isn't my problem to begin with. And if you're defined, understanding what your mental process is, the specifics of it, and the chart will tell you that chatter that you have in your head, that constant busyness in your head, how it comes, it becomes less personal then. You can start to see it, how maybe you start to doubt yourself, or maybe you start to really rehash the past, or you spin in circles in your mind and your thoughts, and you can't actually move to action. The chart starts to tell you how that works. And when you start to see it, it's like, oh, okay, now I get how I can work with this. The human design gives you more than just a peek. It gives you a deep understanding of how your energy works, what your tendencies and levers are going to be about how you deal with certain things. And then you can start to deal with those patterns one at a time. And then you get more and more aligned. You start taking action from your power and not from your conditioning. And that's when life changes. And that's when life gets easy. And that's when business starts to flow. And you can always find your way back home to you. And it just feels really darn good being yourself. I'm not going to lie. It's freeing. I spent a lot of my life holding back, feeling like I was too much, feeling like I wouldn't be accepted if everybody could see all of me, and noticing that those were specific elements of my chart and knowing how I could work with each one of them to start stepping into what is correct for me, not for somebody else. That's what human design has to offer. So if you're interested in that, I have two things to share with you. I have a workshop, free, and a waitlist, also free to be on that are available to you right now. If this interests you, learning to work with your energy, learning to work and understand how your energy works, we're going to go through all of this in my newest program called Unshakeable Human. Doors to that are going to open on June 12th. If you are on our wait list, you will get 50% off that program. This is a 6-week program live with me. There's going to be a digital course component and then 4 live sessions with me plus 2 Q&A calls with me. This episode will drop the day that the waitlist opens. You have until noon on the 12th of June to sign up for the waitlist and get access to that 50% off discount. You'll have 72 hours to action that. This is an amazing program. If you want to be on the waitlist, DM me on Instagram. I'm at Nicole Laino Official, and we'll sign you up right there. Or go to NicoleLaino.com/embody waitlist. You can sign up on the website. Embody waitlist is the code to send me on Instagram. Just DM me that, and you will be able to get on the waitlist. We also have a free workshop on activating your magnetism, which is going to be me expanding on these concepts that I'm sharing with you here on the show. I'm going to deep dive into magnetism, what it really means, and how you can double your revenue while working less using human design. So if you'd like to be a part of that free workshop, we're actually doing it at 11 a.m. on the 12th of June. So if you're listening to this, it'll be today. If you're listening to this on the day this drops, the 12th of June at 11 a.m., and it will take you through the waitlist. So sign up for the workshop by DMing me the word workshop on Instagram. I'm at Nicole Laino Official. DM me workshop. We'll register you right there, or go to NicoleLaino.com/workshop, and you can go there and register on the website. Those two things, if you do that, you will get access to the free training with me. Plus, if you get on the wait list, then you get that 50% discount. If you just sign up for the workshop, you will not get the 50% off. So sign up, join us there, because this is transformative work. If you feel called to it and you're ready to really step into your true authenticity, I encourage you to be there with us. Thank you so much for being a part of this series, a part of this show. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of the episode with me. And remember, in order to have an unshakable business, you must first become an unshakable human. So thank you for letting us help you become unshakable with human design, everybody. We will see you next time.
If you love this episode and you're a fan of the show, please show us the love on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to the show, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with other entrepreneurs on their human design journey, join our free Facebook community, Human Design for Entrepreneurs. Go to NicoleLaino.me/podcast links to join the group, book a human design reading with me, or access our free human design resources. We'll see you there.